My husband is slipping away from me. My husband, 35 male, and I, 32 female, own a business together. He works hard physical labor 365 days a year, while I take care of our children and our home and the paperwork side of the business. Honestly, our life does kind of suck. We are never together because he's always gone to work. We don't make nearly enough money to cover our cost of living with a big family. We just keep running on that hamster wheel, hoping one day we can get off and find some sort of joy. I find my husband resents me for having such a big family. The reason he says he has to have the career he has, even though I've told him I am happy to also get a full-time job and we sell our business and both work more of a 9-5 gig. That way we could maybe get some time together as a couple and our kids could see their father sometimes. The idea of a husband being home for the weekend sounds truly amazing to me. We recently got a couple new employees, in desperate hope he can maybe start to work less, one of which is female, and who he has become best friends with. It started with flirty texts and him always wanting to go be with her, even outside of work, after working 10-12 hours days with her by his side, but he always found an excuse to go help her. I grew very suspicious and insecure over his new friendship, which is when I decided to go through his phone and found out just how flirty and close they were becoming. I confronted him and broke down and told him how much he has hurt me. Because as far as I knew, we were a happily married couple with an amazing sex life. We only see each other at night, but we've always made the most of it and always have our time together with sex, laughing, cuddling and a show together. Every night. When first confronted, he broke down and said how incredibly sorry he was and that it was just flirting and he never planned to ever let it go beyond that, but he agreed that that was too far for a married man and that he would back off and keep it professional considering he is her boss. This was over a month ago now that he was confronted. And 2 months since she came into our life. But the only thing that has changed is that he just makes sure to delete all their texts. Which he has admitted to me and claims that the only reason he feels the need to delete them is because I don't like that they are even friends, so he wants it to seem like they are strictly business. Which is incredibly dumb since I know he's deleting, so I just have to imagine what the texts say instead of knowing what is actually being said, and even if they are innocent, the convos being made up in my head are not. I feel like I'm going absolutely crazy. I feel like I need to watch his every move and constantly check on him and question everything he says or does. It's really messing with my mental health, all while trying to care for my family and home and just everyday stress. While also watching his mental health crumble and become incredibly depressed, overworked and just overall drained to the point where he doesn't even seem human. But the thing is, I can see glimpses of the old him when he's with her. They are together all day every day. And when they aren't, they are texting or calling each other. When I hear him on the phone with her, he sounds so happy. But the odd time he talks to me on the phone he seems annoyed and wants me to leave him alone. And if I know she's with him, he will only call me by my name and never, babe, and won't say, I love you, and he sends her pics all day and gifs, and making sure to delete all evidence, meaning all this takes much more time than a simple text, but never responds to my texts and always says he's too busy to text at work. Seems like he has lots of spare time to live a life with so many secrets. I just feel like he's totally checked out of our marriage and is ready to move on with a new life with this new woman and pretend I never even existed. We've been together almost 20 years and I guess I just wasn't prepared for my husband to wake up one day and not care for me anymore. I thought I was set for life with my person, but his actions are showing me that he doesn't really care about my feelings and is fine if I stay or go, because he's going to keep doing what he wants and it's up to me if I want to walk away from our marriage, but I have zero interest in a divorce. I just want him to love and respect me and go back to our life before this other woman arrived. I'm just feeling really gutted and hurt from the last couple months of my life. But he's not willing to make any changes to improve our life or marriage, so I feel like why am I wasting my time and energy to try to fix something that can't be fixed? Gather your evidence, separate your finances, and contact an attorney. Post your story in infidelity. He is definitely hiding more than a devout husband should be. He probably cried because he got caught. Edited to correct sub. Just go see a lawyer. Maybe that will make him smarten the fuck up. If that doesn't work, you've already lost him. He sounds like he is lost in a cycle of never-ending work. This woman is probably an escape for him. She probably is fun and exciting and doesn't have a boatload of kids at home that need him after he's done working non-stop. Would not be surprised if they crossed physical lines. They have already crossed emotional lines and now he is deleting the texts, so he does not want you to see what they are talking about. I could be wrong, but he likely can't see past what is in front of his face, so he will need a dose of reality to wake him the fuck up. Beyond this, you need a change in lifestyle because this is not sustainable for you or him. Get some help. My boyfriend forgot my birthday and I don't know how to react. Yesterday was my birthday. I waited all day for a text or call from my boyfriend wishing me happy birthday, but I never got one. We continued our day as usual. We're currently in different cities. At the end of the day I called him and told him that he forgot. He told me that he didn't forget and that he wanted to be the last to wish me cause he knew he wasn't the first. He also told me that he had a gift for me that would arrive the next morning. Today. I shrugged it off and forced myself to believe him. After the call I sent him pictures of my birthday. He opened them and left me on read. It was only after I complained that he told me he was on a 50-minute call with his male friend, and that was why he couldn't reply. This morning comes and I got a bouquet of sunflowers, my favorite, that he says was the gift he had prepared for me from another city. So I asked the man that delivered the flowers where he gets them from. He told me they plant them here, the city I'm at. Then I asked him when the flowers were ordered and he told me they were ordered this morning. When I confronted my boyfriend about this, he told me that he must have gotten things mixed up, then accused me of being ungrateful to his efforts. What do I do? I am 25 and he's 30 for context. Sounds like he's lying to you. I can guarantee the last text of the day thing is a lie, and a pretty bald-faced one as well. Likewise with the flower order. I'd honestly talk about this. I don't care myself about my birthday, but for my wife celebrating hers is very important. But the more concerning thing is lying to you to make the problem go away. It suggests a casual disrespect for your intelligence or a lack of effort to even attempt to be honest. Best of luck to you. Yeah, his story don't make sense. Your intuition was right. How long have you guys been dating? Forgetting the birthday isn't the problem. The lying is the problem. Better to apologize profusely and make it up, than to lie like he is. People forget. Every year I have to double-check my own mother's birthday with my brother who checks with his wife, who is really good with this stuff. It is a running joke. He must really think you are stupid. I would be insulted. Guy I'm seeing wasn't honest about his age and thinks the timeframe to be mad about that expired. I, 30 female, have been seeing a guy I've met on a dating app for 9 months now. His profile said his age was 27 and I never directly asked his age, because I had no reason to doubt it. I did however made maybe 2 or 3, indirect, jokes, comments about it. For example, asking if he had seen a specific movie or if he was too young for it. He never really reacted to those comments. The other day I was at his place and as I was leaving I saw his ID laying around. The birth year was 10 years older than I thought it was, and with a birthday he also didn't tell me about last month that now makes him 38. I asked, "Wait, how old are you?" He just pointed at his ID and asked me, "Why? Did you think I was younger?" I answered yes and he said, "I thought so, because you asked me about that movie the other day." He asked me how old I was and I gave a sarcastic AWNSER like, "What do you mean how old am I?" I am the age I said I was on my profile. I really had to leave at that point, so I didn't get the chance to speak to him more about it that time. Later on it bothered me. In the moment I was just surprised, but when I had time to process it after, I felt lied to. The age difference itself is not even an issue, but the fact that he wasn't honest about it on purpose. He has had opportunities to bring it up, the comment about the movie or his bloody birthday, or clarify in case he didn't mean to lie about it, but he chose not to. I was planning to bring it up and he wanted to have conversation about it face to face, but the next time I saw him, I had gotten some bad news and he came by to help me solve the problem and make me feel better. The time after that I did bring it up, as it was still bothering me. He then kinda dismissed me bringing up the topic and said something along the lines that if it really bothered me that much I would have brought it up the time before and not made a joke, my sarcastic comment, about it in the moment. I wish I would have stand my ground more and pressed the issue, but really need some time to think before reacting. So I feel like even thought I saw him in between where that day I didn't bring it up but we had a good time. I can still communicate how it made me feel later when I processed. But he feels I'm just dragging up an issue that no longer an issue. Do you guys have any advice on how to navigate this? Maybe not even this specific situation, but also me needing to process, but him not wanting to revisit issues? He lied to you about his age so he could try to trick younger women into dating him. He didn't take responsibility for his actions when he had the chance, and then he tried to tell you that you're not really that upset because if you were you would have brought it up earlier. These things are pretty big deals. At 38 years old it's his personality to be manipulative. I wouldn't be into it if I were you. The lying on his profile is a red flag. He knew you thought he was younger and didn't correct you. That is also a red flag. But the biggest red flag to me is that you tried to bring it up and he was dismissive of your feelings. I'd bring it up once more, and if he's dismissive or belittling etc., I'd call it quits. Dude sounds like a real manipulative piece of shit. Update. My girlfriend, 24 female, is upset that I, 25 male, have tattoos of my female friend. I know this sub doesn't like people posting updates, but I have received such a response. Even as I type this I'm getting notification every minute. Firstly, just want to thank everyone for the responses. I want to clear up a misconception. I am not a constantly mournful person that thinks about dead friends and suicide all the time. The Wonder Years do make music that is mainly about losing friends, but it is cathartic. I have tattoos for Julia, dead family members, and my other close friend that overdosed in high school. But I'm not just living in the past all the time. I get a tattoo when TWY drop an album, which isn't often. Since her passing they have dropped 2 albums and they've been making music since I was like 13. They even said this could be the last album. I don't have a body full of lyrics. I have my male friend who overdosed tattooed on me with his name in a heart as well. I have a similar lyric tradition with him but a different band. And #X200B. My girlfriend is very understanding and great. I love her to death and this isn't how she usually reacts to things. My friends and these tattoos are very important to me. I got my first TWY tattoo with Julia in 2015 when we had just graduated high school. We both got, we're no saviors if we can't save our brothers, so getting a new tattoo whenever they drop is important to me. I was going to stand my ground on that. Julia was my best friend and sister. Our families are close even to this day. I go to her parents' house and go their family events frequently and I am like a son. We were literally in the crib together as babies, there was no romance. My girlfriend told me that she had been cheated on or didn't know information in past relationships, so this was a sore spot for her. She didn't really know about Julia. She knew I had lost friends, but I don't live in the past and talk about people who died all the time. My back and arms are full of tattoos and I have a bunch on my chest too, so I haven't told her the meaning behind every tattoo. She noticed I got the, "You're the reason I don't want the world to end," newly tattooed and asked me about it, and that started this. I think that if I had told her earlier on about my tattoo tradition with lyrics she would have understood, but just that tattoo for another woman with no context. I completely get why she was upset. I told her that I understand how it looks, but Julia was my best friend. I see comments about her being in competition. To me that's like if I had a sister and someone said that my girlfriend was in competition with my sister. Just sounds fucking weird to me. And #X200B. So many offensive, lol you walk around with a dead girl on your arm. When in the post I talk about how I have the same tradition with a male friend, but that isn't considered weird. It's crazy that male and female friendships are not seen as equal. If she had a dead male friend that was memorialized with tattoos or in her own way I wouldn't care. But I am biased because I've lost many friends. When my good friend overdosed in high school Julia got his name in a heart tattooed on her as well. And #X200B. Anyway, I've been talking to her and telling her that I understand how she feels. But this is something I have to stand my ground on. Tattoos are just a thing I get too. When I got my first car, someone broke into my car once and stole the spare change I had in my center console and I got a tattoo of a broken window. It's just fun to me. My girlfriend called me like an hour ago and told me that she listened to the latest album from the Wonder Years and that it made her cry completely. She also listened to the songs from previous albums that I have tattooed on me. She just told me, I get it. The few fans of TWY that found my post got it. If you listen to that band they have so very few romantic songs. Most of their songs are about friends dying or just being anxious about the future and bad things happening. My favorite line from them is, "You start remembering the anniversaries of bad things." My girlfriend is not into emo, alt culture, but she listened to the album that they just put out. She said after one song she was crying and that when she heard the context of, "You're the reason I don't want the world to end," she realized how unromantic it is and how it makes sense. She was at work and on break, but we spent time talking about things I don't talk about. I told her about Julia and some other dark experiences and other losses I've had growing up. We have a good and healthy relationship. This experience taught me that it's better if I was more open to the people close to me. If she knew more about Julia, this wouldn't have been a problem. From her perspective, it's just an old friend that passed that I have tattooed in a heart. But when I explained it more, she understood. So that is my fault for not explaining Julia well to her. When she asked early on in the relationship, I just said my best friend that died. I guess in avoiding trying to be the downer guy, the first left a lot up to her own interpretation. And #X200B. I also explained to her my other tattoos for my other friend with lyrics, and he is one I hardly talk about. Julia was like my sister and her life was suddenly cut off, so it's nice to talk about the past. With my friend that overdosed, he'd struggled with sobriety since like age 10. In and out of rehabs and would be found passed out somewhere miles from home. His life was hard, so I rarely ever talk about him. He was the friend you always knew would die someday, but it opened up dialogue and she's more understanding now. I explained the LGFUAD. Let's get fucked up and die. The future freaks me out. And I like the universe, tattoos to that I have in his memory as well. Things are better. We were already close, but it feels like this was something that needed to happen someday anyway. And #X200B. I don't appreciate the comments calling me girlfriend harsh names. A lot of comments also seemed very insensitive. From childhood to now, I've probably lost half of my friends from overdose, accident, suicide, and I don't have all of them tattooed. A lot of replies felt like, yeah, you've had traumatic loss, but lol, remove the tattoos, who cares? Things are better, and I think this experience is overall good for our relationship. I feel more open than I have ever been. And #X200B. I've always received a lot of doubt that TWY do not make only traumatic songs, and that I must be over-exaggerating. This song best describes the content of like 70% of their music. Opening square bracket dot. And #X200B. Edit. Also, the lyric tattoos are based on lyrics they liked. I thought they'd like the most. Not what makes me think of them the most. I'm not getting, let's get fucked up and die, going like, this was our friendship. I know this sub doesn't like people posting updates, but I have received such a response. I don't know where you got that from. We love updates here. Especially positive ones. I thought a lot of the responses in the other thread were kinda fucked up. Glad you were going to stick your ground either way, but even more glad that it worked for everyone involved. Your friends were lucky to have someone who cared about them so much and continue to keep their memories going. Is this like a very elaborate, weird, cringe advertising campaign for the Wonder Years?